Education has changed over the last 300 years, but its value has remained constant. Expectations of who should attend school, what they need to know, and what work they can do as adults have changed. In the 1700s, the earliest educational tool was a horn book that taught the alphabet, vowels and consonants, and the Lord's Prayer. A thin layer of cow's horn protected the text, and it was small enough to be tied to a child's waist. The Common School movement of the early 1800s sought to make elementary education available to all white children. Geneva had 2 district schools, with 6 more outside the village. There were few educational standards, and students missed school if they were needed to work at home. In 1839, school commissioners created one unified district for a more efficient education. A new Union School opened on Milton Street in 1840. It was expanded several times to accommodate more students. As Geneva grew, the Union School became crowded, and it was difficult for young children to walk to Milton Street. In the 1850s, branch schools were built in several neighborhoods as a solution. They were classic one-room schoolhouses with benches, a blackboard, and one stove for heating. African American children first attended grammar school at the Union Chapel on High Street, then a public segregated school on the same street. The Union School added a classical department which taught college preparatory classes and teacher training. African American students weren't allowed to attend there until after the 1870s. By 1900, there were 4 modern elementary schools on High Street, Cortlandt Street, Lewis Street, and Prospect Avenue. They were 2 stories with multiple rooms. State aid for new construction in the mid-1920s led to building the new high school on Pulteney Street and a large elementary school on North Street. In 1957, the district added West Street Elementary School and the new junior high school on North Street, which is now the current North Street School. In the 1790s, wealthy families were encouraged to settle in Geneva. They were educated and wanted the same for their children. Through the 1800s, there was no shortage of private schools in Geneva. Some lasted a year or 2, while others were well established. Most were single-gender schools. Boys learned classical history and languages, math, and science. Girls learned music, needlepoint, and social refinements for marriage and family. The exception was Mrs. Ricord's Geneva Female Seminary. From 1829 to 1842, Elizabeth Ricord taught girls languages, science, and advanced mathematics. The first Catholic elementary school, St. Francis de Sales Parochial School, was established on Exchange Street in 1875. When the city was divided into a second parish, St. Stephen's Parochial School was formed in 1904. De Sales High School began in 1912 on Exchange Street, before moving to High Street. Cozy Days Christian Preschool teaches 3- and 4-year-olds how to adjust outside their family. Children's Hour School practices the Montessori method of child-centered, experience-based learning. Early public education focused on giving students practical information for the work world. An 8th grade education was considered good enough unless students were going on to college. New York State began funding vocational education in the early 1900s. After 1967, Regional Boards of Educational Services, or BOCES, built vocational education centers which have adapted to changing careers. The BOCES Finger Lakes Technical and Career Center in Flint serves over 700 high school juniors and seniors from 3 counties. Programs include computer programming, medical sciences, and many others.